Hello everyone, I'm François Jean from Movex Innovation. We're a Canadian manufacturer of the mini crawler crane. Today we'll train you on how to operate this super type of equipment designed to install and transport pad mount transformer in people's backyard or in any type of places where you struggle to go right now. So we'll go through the walk around of this equipment, then we'll show you how to drive it around, and finally we'll actually show you how to lift transformer with it. First thing you need to do is to pull the emergency button right there. That's your first step. Second step, turn the emergency button from the remote, put the remote control in on position, press start button, then when you're gonna hit the arrow, you're gonna hear a sound, you're good to go. What do we have on the control panel? The first gauge here is a battery indicator. Right now we see we're about a third of the battery on this equipment. You see the voltage there as well. When it's going to be fully charged, you're going to see it around 25, 26 volt, and you see the voltage going down over the time. This is actually the plug. When you want to charge your equipment, you just need to take an extension cord that is plugged on a 15 amp 110 outlet, and you'll charge your equipment just plugging it this way. And this is the plug here for the wired remote control that also come with the equipment. So if ever your wireless remote control doesn't work, you can plug your wired remote control right there. I recommend you to always carry the wired remote control with you in case you lose the wireless remote control, the battery dies, and you don't have AAA battery to replace them into the wireless remote control. It's always good to have the wired remote control handy. One very important thing for you to know is that if you have the wired remote control plugged in the equipment, the wireless remote control is not going to work. So you need to unplug the wired remote control to make sure that the Movex mini crawler crane wireless remote control will work. What else do we have on this equipment? Here are some battery boxes. If you open them, you'll have access to the battery. So for whatever reason, if you ran out of power, you'd be able to plug the booster pack on it and get back to the truck. Second thing we have here are the outrigger. Those will be needed when you'll do any type of lifting operation. And one nice thing, if you look there, there's actually forklift insert pieces. So if you ever want to take off the crane to have just the basic carrier operating, you can do that in less than 30 minutes. What else do we have? We got those jack right here. Those jack has been designed to go on the outrigger when you'll do the lifting operation. If we move further back, what else? This is the stabilizer piece. Those stabilizer pieces are very important when you'll be moving with the equipment. Those goes right there, and they'll keep the equipment safe when you'll be in all-terrain condition. Let's turn our equipment to see what's in the back there. In the back here, we have the control panel for the crane operation. There's a key here. If you want to operate the crane, first thing, make sure that the emergency button of the remote is pressed on so you cannot move anymore the equipment. Second thing, turn on the emergency button from the crane operation and you turn the key on. Then you'll have 3 levers to operate the crane. First lever here is to actually move right to left. Second one is to move down to up. And the third one is to boom out or boom in. Another very important information here that you'll have is the right to left inclination of your equipment. You want to keep it level as much as possible, in particular in the lifting operation. It's really, really important that you'll be leveled when you try to do any type of lifting. Another very important information is this actually gauge also for the inclination from front to rear. Again, when you're doing any type of lifting operation, this gauge here on the side and the gauge that you have right there in the rear, you want them to be level before doing any type of lifting operation. If we keep moving around the equipment here, if you look on the rear, we have the plug. If you would like to take off the crane from the carrier, this is the plug that you'll need to actually pull off, those two plugs right there, so you can take them off. If I keep moving around, the last thing we'll see on this equipment, the little window you have there. Yeah, it's nice, you plug the unit, you know, the extension cord of the equipment, but did you plug that in the wall? So if you want to make sure your charger is charging, you can look through that little window here and you'll see the light that tells you that your equipment is charging. There are several stickers on your equipment, okay? That would be important for you to read those when you operate that. The first one and the most important one for me is read the operation manual or make sure that you watch your training video before to operate the equipment, okay? There's a sticker here about the rolling angle. Do not exceed 10 degrees sideways. This sticker here is your load chart. As you're gonna do lifting operation, there's a load chart right there. And there's also another load chart on your beam right here. So before to lift anything, make sure of how heavy is the transformer you want to lift and make sure that you're respecting those lifting charts that are on your equipment. The remote is very easy to use. Okay, we got an emergency button right there. So let's say the unit, we start from the beginning, unit is off. You gotta turn the remote on, turn this on, then press the start button. And after that, the remote operate with 4 arrows. The front arrow is linked to the front end of the machine. When you're not sure, hey, which way is the front end of the machine, you can look, there's a sticker right here that says front end, this end first going up. So this arrow is linked with that. So if I press this arrow, unit's gonna move forward. The remote operate on a way there's actually 2 steps on the bottom. So there's a first steps, and then there's a second step where you're gonna actually go faster. If I use this arrow, it's gonna be reverse. You know, you're gonna see this, I'm going reverse really slow. Then I gotta press harder on it, I gain speed.
So it's pressure.
Yeah, it's really by the pressure, and it's kind of a 2-speed button. So press gently, go slow, press harder, go fast. I would suggest that you always go slow when you're in a terrain where you're not familiar with, when you have to turn, when you're not sure what can be hidden under the grass or something like that. Or when you're going over a stump, you're going up, you go slow. Those 2 arrows are really right and left turning. You can turn one direction, turn the other direction, and you can use both at the same time. So I can move forward and actually turn in a direction, or turn in the other direction as I move forward. So both happen at the same time. Again, going reverse, trying to back up one direction, the other direction. I'm able to do both at the same time. My recommendation would be when you're in a backyard, when there's nice grass or there's something like that, you don't want just to turn. You want to move forward as you turn. Otherwise, it's going to tear down the grass. Because if I just turn, it's going to look like a 0-turn lawnmower. It's 360 like that. Look how much dirt I'm pulling off the track right there. If I move, if I turn around and I move like this, see how it's not as bad actually. You know, I don't damage the ground as much than what I did here. So if you look at the difference here, just spinning on itself, and there's a huge difference between the damage that you've done on your customer backyard. You always put the outrigger when you're going in a back road situation, or you're going in any situation where the ground is not level flat, you put down those stabilizer in. So if ever the unit would get on a stump or something, that would prevent the unit to actually flip. And this just insert like this, and it's gonna stay there. Yeah, the handle is there to feel the machine in some situation. Really easy to put on as well. So the purpose of that handle is really, let's say you're going over a stump or something like that, and you want to feel when the machine's getting to the tipping point in balance. You can use the handle and you'll feel when the unit is getting light.
Oh, okay.
You know, it's only for that purpose. You want the worker to stay away from the equipment as it rides, but it's just really to help feel how is your terrain. Is this stump going to be too big or not big enough? So this is the purpose of the handle right there.
Okay.
You see the outrigger is still far away, and you hear the sound now. You know, the sound is telling us that the unit is actually getting to a certain point sideways where it starts to be a little unsafe. And when the sound is continuous, I'm not probably...
Solid sound versus
yeah, solid sound, and also it slows down the unit. You see now, we're getting back in a safe area. I was not driving really fast, so we didn't feel the speed difference. But anyway, as soon as you see the unit to start to tip a little bit on the side, you don't want to go fast. This, you will feel that on the handle really when you're going, let's say on a sidewalk bang. So when you get, the last thing you will want, let's say you're going on top of the sidewalk, the unit's gonna go up, and then you don't want to bang. So you're able to more or less land it with the handle when you're at the right tipping point. You'll just be able to land it slowly. So if I'm getting back forward, it's gonna be the same thing here. Just be careful, I'll move back this direction. You see again, we're getting sideways a little too more. We will have the same type of sound when we're going up and downhill. There's warning sticker on it, maximum rollout angle should not exceed 10. I mean, it's written on it. However, the fact that there's a beeping sound will help the operator to get a gauge of where he's in. When you control the equipment, you see the front arrow? Yeah. There's also this sticker right there on the unit. Front end this way. So you make the relation between the front arrow and the front end of the area. You always want to have the crane portion on the downhill side. Yeah. Yeah. You want to tweak yourself to be straight a little more, yeah. So you
continue a little bit.
If you keep going a little bit,
again. Okay, that's it.
You see, that's because you reach the maximum tilt that you want to operate, now, and at this tilting, it will not stop because you don't want to get stuck right there in the hill. You want to be able to back up. So, and in some circumstances, you can keep going slowly, but you limit the speed. Now you're going to be at a maximum of 40 feet per minute when you're at that full beeping sound. So it's both a sound noise that will tell the operator you're in the dangerous zone, visual, and at the same time you got the speed which is reduced. So even if the guy wants to keep going up, it's going to be so slow that he's going to say, okay, I'm going to take a different way around. Now we want to do some lifting with the mini crawler crane. However, the first thing you want to do before you do lifting, you want to make sure that your unit is leveled. Right now, we're -5 degrees. So if you find yourself in this situation when the back of the unit is not level and you cannot adjust it, you can actually move the machine, use, piece of wood, or, put more ground onto it, gravel or anything. You got to find a way to have the machine perfectly level before you're gonna operate the lifting operation there. Yeah, so now we're gonna try to do the lifting operation. As you're gonna do the lifting operation, the first thing you wanna do, press the emergency button off on the remote control. You wanna make sure that the unit cannot move any direction while you're gonna do the lifting operation. Very important. We just mentioned we need to be leveled from the front to the rear, but we also need to be level side to side. You want to make sure that you're perfectly level here, because otherwise, as soon as you're going to lift the charge, it's going to balance on one way or the other way if you're not level there. The weight's going to transfer. So if you're not level there, you're going to emphasize the weight transfer. So it's really, really important to be perfectly level from right to left. Prior to do any kind of lifting, you want to make sure you put the outrigger out. The outrigger are positioned right here. There's a pin here So you just position them right there. You lock the pin. This is the first step. There's one on each side. I'll pull out the second one here. So you lock these. Second step, you take the jack that you have on the rear of the unit here. You pull them off from their stand, and you install them here inside. So all right, you want to make sure there is actually a little bit of pressure on the front jack here, so it will be very stable. So both jack, you know, here we got a little bit of pressure. If you would be on a flat surface, the second wheel is the one where you would have the pressure on. Right now, as we tweak the level with the piece of wood, you cannot see that weight right there, but it's important that everything is really stable before you start any type of lifting operation. Before lifting a transformer, make sure to follow your procedure on how to lift a pad mount transformer. If you don't know what it is, refer to your supervisor. He'll be able to drive you in the right direction. So once we're pretty center on top of the load, are we? All right, perfect. So now we'll be able to hook the sling to the hook. Everything's safely secure. We make sure that nobody stays close from the equipment we're gonna lift. And now we're gonna try to lift the transformer. So right now, as we see, we were able to lift the transformer. If the beam or the weight would have been too much for the distance and how much the beam would have been extended, the transformer would not lift. We would have need to actually move the unit closer from the transformer we're trying to lift. So now we're gonna lift this up. The crane is a dual operation, so we can actually boom in as we're lifting. To be able to drop the transformer on the pad, we'll need to actually lift it up higher as we're booming it in. Now the transformer is there. As you're gonna do lifting operation, there's a little light gauge right here that will show you where you are based on the load chart. This is just a visual indicator that gives you an idea where you are. However, what will allow you to lift or not the unit, it's really the sensor that are built in inside of it. So if I'm lifting the load right now, you see it's lifting, but there's actually no pressure at all because we're at the beginning of the lifting operation. So around that distance, we can lift almost 2,800 pounds. If I'm extending the beam now, the more I'm gonna extend the beam, you see the light is actually moving up. And further I'm gonna go away. Depending on the weight, we'll probably see this light going up a little more. Yeah, we got a second step here on the light, and we'll probably get so now that there's no more load on it, there's no more light. I'm gonna lift it up back again. Now that we lift it again, you see automatically, whoops, I'm getting more pressure on it. So right now we're just having a little bit of load based on the distance you have. So if you would have a larger transformer, you would see the indicator here would be way different. As I said at the beginning, this is a visual indicator only. This is really the unit with a sensor inside of it that will allow you to lift or not. Something else as well is that if I'm moving on the right side, way far in one direction, you know, the load needs to stay inside of the outrigger. So this is the further I'll be able to go. Once I'm there, if I try to lift or go down, there's no way I can do that. If this happens, you need to get back a little bit inside, just a little bit inside, and then I'll be able to start lifting and lowering the weight again. So we'll bring back the unit center. Ideally, when you can, you want to be centered when you're bringing your load to your deck. All right, now that the unit sits on the mini crawler crane, we want to take off the strap from the hook. Really easy to do this. You take off your strap just before you're going to tie down your unit on the equipment. Once that your transformers sit on the deck of the unit, it's really important to strap it down in order that when you're going to travel around, this is not going to move at all. There's 4 different anchor points. First one here in the corner. There's the 2 easy track here at the bottom. And you also have on the front end this other shackle there. So depending on the weight, the size, and what you have here, you can actually use ratchet strap to strap down your transformer on the mini crawler crane from MoveX. This is how you plug your unit when you want to charge it. As you're going to plug the unit, it's going to be very important to, you look, the voltmeter starts to change. You can look at the window on the other side, you'll see the charger is charging. And finally, make sure to charge the unit every time it's not in use. You want it to be fully charged every time you're going to go in the field with it. So make sure it's getting plugged every time. All right, so before you hit the road and go on a job site, there's a few things you want to make sure you bring with you. The first one is the stabilizer, to make sure that when you're going to be off-road, you can have the stabilizer to prevent your unit, to keep your unit straight. Second thing are the outrigger pad. Anytime you do lifting and you're not on a hard surface like concrete or pavement, you want to use the outrigger pad. The third thing, don't forget your easy track. If you need to tighten something up on the equipment to carry it around, you want to have the easy track. And the last but not the least, the remote control. You want to have your wireless remote control with you. So make sure you got those 4 things together with you before you go for a job. All right, that's about it. This is what we had to show you on our MoveX mini crawler crane today. I'm sure you'll enjoy this equipment going in the field. That's going to make your day much more quieter and more efficient. Don't hesitate to contact us if you have any questions. Thank you very much for your time and have a great day.